Hey, what's up, everybody? So, something I've been thinking about for a long time now, the last few months, probably since like December or so, it's really been going through my mind on and off all the time is this idea of health and what is healthy? What is health? And the reason this has been like circling through my mind nonstop is because you hear it a lot at the end of the year, going into the new year. It's like new year, new me. I'm gonna get healthy. And then within a couple of weeks, maybe a month or two if you're lucky, most all of these same individuals have started to revert back to their original habits, the things that got them in the position they were in the first place that they were hoping to correct or to change. And that's kind of what was the catalyst for getting me to kind of think about this topic and the broad scheme of this idea of like, what is health? What does it mean to be healthy, right? And I think that that is a really subjective question for the individual based on where they're at in life, what they're dealing with, what they have going on, et cetera, et cetera. So it's kind of funny because if you Google health, right, it states it's the state of being free from illness or injury, or also a person's mental or physical condition. And I think that just only starts scratching the surface of the whole piece that is health, because one thing that we're not taught and that we don't necessarily appreciate is that health is very cyclical. It doesn't stop. There's always going to be a new thing that you're looking to either conquer or to improve, or at least it should be, for long-term wellness, longevity, just health in general. If it's going to be extended out, it needs to be an ever-improving process. Right, so the World Health Organization, or WHO, their definition of health is a bit more in line with the way I feel. And they say that health is a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being, and not merely the absence of disease or infirmity. So I really appreciate that definition because they're touching on the three big pieces of your physical health, your mental health, but also your social health. But I think a few pieces within that are getting maybe overlooked, underappreciated, ignored. I'm not really sure which way it goes, but we're also not considering our emotional health or our financial health. And these are, all five areas you could argue are all equally important and require just as much time and focus as does your physical health or your emotional health or your spiritual health. All that stuff ties in together for this well-rounded overall being of what health really is. And so the reason I want to talk about this today is because I think a lot of times, especially myself, like I work with a lot of clients, other trainers, coaches, dietitians, wellness people, friends, family. A lot of times when we're working with the general public and they have a goal to improve their health, I think it comes back to that individual that you're working with, that they have to figure out their own subjective definition of what health means to them, right? So again, back to what I was saying at the beginning of this video is, we hear so many times people say, I want to get healthy. I'm going to get healthy. But that's a really vague blanket statement that doesn't really have any value to it other than the fact that you're saying, I want to improve my current condition. But if you don't have a detailed understanding of what that means to be, what that improved situation will look like, it becomes a lot harder to try to achieve that goal. For some individuals, getting healthier may mean, I want to lose 25 pounds, or I want to improve my cholesterol numbers, or I want to drop my blood pressure. For others, it could be, I need to get out and create more meaningful relationships because, I eat right and I exercise all the time, but I have a terrible social life. Or it could be something as, maybe you have a good social life, you're eating right, you're working out, but maybe your finances aren't in line, and internally, you're just stressed all the time because you're not doing the correct things financially, with maybe paying your bills on time, or you're frivolously spending, you don't have a savings account, so you're always wondering, what will happen right now if I were to lose my job. And this is a really interesting piece to this conversation with all this madness going on with COVID-19. I was an unfortunate individual that was laid off from my primary source of income. For any of you that don't know, I bartend, and that's how I afford getting myself through school, and also being a providing member of my family. And with this government mandated shutdown of all restaurants and bars, I was effectively laid off and put out of work for my main income source. Luckily, I had a bit of money stashed and saved, and so it's the urgency is not quite as bad, but there's a lot of people out there, and I know I work with a lot of them, they don't know what they're going to do. And so this is another piece to that cyclical level of health. Dr. Shawn Model, guy that I'm a huge fan of. If you guys don't know him, strongly recommend checking him out. Hit up his podcast. His book Sleep Smarter really changed my life. It's a lot of insight on sleep that I can't believe we're not taught at a younger age. But I was listening to one of his podcasts recently, and he talked about this idea of health and wellness and fitness being cyclical, meaning it's ever improving. And this is really kind of, I think, another catalyst that got me thinking about this topic. Is you shouldn't just be aiming to lift more weights or run the extra mile. It's not just about eating perfect organic nutriently dense meals. There's lots of different pieces to this puzzle that we call health. And for us as fitness, nutrition, wellness, whatever you want to call yourself, professionals that are going to be dealing with this general public, we really need to take our clients and sit down with them and help them understand, what does health mean to them? What is that priority for them that they're looking to improve on? Because if you allow them just to say, I want to get healthier, or I want to improve my health, again, like I said, that's super, super blanket. We need to set realistic, attainable goals. We talk about this all the time, with this idea of SMART goals, SMART being the acronym. So again, if you don't know what that is, a SMART goal is a specific goal, it's measurable, it's attainable, it's realistic, but it's also timely. And just saying I want to get healthy doesn't meet any of those parameters, right? Yeah, maybe it's specific to a degree, depending on the individual, you can maybe argue it, but is it attainable? I don't know, because you haven't decided what makes being healthy, what the parameter or the goal is. That's an indicator that you've improved your health. And so this is why, again, I think goal setting is another big piece of this. Is you really got to educate folks and helping them understand, what does that mean for them? What does it mean to be healthy? And I know I've repeated myself like 6 times, but this is a really important topic I feel that gets overlooked. Is we're not helping our clients, our family members, our friends, whoever it is that we may be working with or talking to, we're not really helping them a lot of times detail what exactly it is that they need to improve. Someone might be tired and lethargic all the time, and they're just feeling low energy, and they're just like, God, I just really got to get healthy. And I think as a fitness professional, as a wellness professional, I can kind of consider myself a wellness coach, because I've spent a lot of time in the fitness industry and the nutrition industry, and I'm really trying to help people bridge that gap. But when you're dealing with a potential client or patient that's in that situation, we've got to be able to take that time back and say, okay, well, we understand that you're tired all the time, you're lethargic, you have low energy, and you're just not feeling the best. But what do you think it is? Like, where do you have to start to fix that piece of the puzzle? Because obviously in that kind of scenario, there's a lot of moving pieces, right? It could be their diet, it could be their lack of exercise, it could be emotional health, financial health, again, all those same pieces that I just talked about. And then that will come back to us to help these individuals identify where they're going to get the most bang for their buck in terms of where should they put the primary amount of their time to start seeing some improvements. Because oftentimes I feel, and I could be wrong, or maybe you're going to agree with me, but I think typically when people kind of go through this blanket statement of, I want to get healthier, I want to improve my health, generally speaking, I think the first things that comes to anyone's mind is exercise, eat vegetables, right? And those are two bad paradigm, not paradigm's not the right word I'm looking for. Those are just two kind of flawed ways of thinking. Because again, we know inherently that health is a lot more than just about the amount that you're exercising or the food that you're eating. Again, it's how well are you sleeping? How much time are you spending with loved ones? Have you been out in the sunshine lately to help you produce more vitamin D, which is going to in turn help your hormones activate and work better in your brain, things like serotonin and dopamine, these happy drugs that we typically can produce on our own. But we live in a society where typically we're working during the daylight hours. Some of us have 2 or 3 jobs, so you're not really ever outside. If you are outside, and then on your days off, the last thing you want to do is go be active because you've been just running 24/7. So I'm kind of just like rambling on now, but there's so many different variable pieces to this idea of health and what it is. And I think that, again, comes back to us as wellness professionals, health professionals, to help individuals understand what it is to be healthy and how to get there, and to lead them in the correct way that's not just going to work for them, but will also help them see the bigger picture. Because you can lead a horse to the water, you can't make it drink, kind of thing, right? But there's other pieces to that. And what I mean by those other pieces is, well, sure, you can tell someone what to eat, but once their plan's over, if there hasn't been a sufficient amount of education, most likely they're going to just revert back to their old ways. You can train a client 5 days a week, but if you're not teaching them the value necessarily in what you're doing, but also educating them and why they're doing certain exercises, how often they should be doing it, what kind of cues in their own body they should be looking for if they should have a higher intensity day or lower intensity days. These are all things that should be encompassed in a really good coach. But again, oftentimes we can get lost in the minutia, and it's up to us to kind of bring ourselves, but also bring our clients or our patients back to the ground. Get them grounded, get them focused, help them understand what it is to be healthy. Because, for me and my personal definition of health, it means that I'm being able to enjoy myself with my wife, my stepson, my friends, my family. I'm getting outside in nature. I get to go sit in the sunshine for a while. I can go play in the mountains or go snowboarding. For me, I get caught up a lot in this idea of work, no play. This is something I'm very thankful for my wife, Katie, is we're somewhat on the opposite side. She likes to have a lot of fun and work a little less. So we do help balance each other out, but I definitely need that balance because I can very quickly become all work and no play, and that's not good for my mental health. And for others, they might need more play and less work, and again, that's where we all become very individual and unique, and those are parameters. But inside that also for me, it's like I gotta make sure I'm sleeping good. I like to have a lot of vegetables in my diet, like fresh greens. I can almost feel my soul changing when I don't get more greens in my diet, and things happen, it's not always perfect. But also, I have 2 dogs and a cat, and I like to spend time with them, and I like to have my own downtime. I like to enjoy life, but just as much as enjoying life, you also have to have structure. I believe you should have structure, and you should have goals, and you should be constantly working towards things. And that, I think, is another piece of this mental happiness that's hard for us to understand, is the more encompassing piece to health. Because when we're stagnant, we're not achieving new things in our life, a lot of times the mundane can really start wearing on you. You start having a lack of excitement. You start, you're not as excited to wake up for the day. And if you're not excited to wake up for the day, how do you expect to get anything done throughout the day to improve your status quo, if you will? So the next time someone tells you that their goal is to get healthy, or someone tells you, I just really need to, I just need to have healthier habits, take that moment to kind of dive a bit deeper into this topic like I have, and kind of talk to them what does it mean to you to be healthy? Does that mean that you're just walking more? Does that mean you're sleeping better? Does that mean that you're having more intimate time with your wife, or you're getting out with your friends more often? Or does it mean that you're having to revamp many areas of your life, that you got to start waking up, and you've got to start working out, and you've got to start meal planning and eating healthy? And there's again many variable options. But I think I'll come back to this topic when I'm not rambling quite as much, but this is just something I really had to share, and I hope you guys enjoyed my little rant, and there will be some more videos coming. Peace.